Today, we're digging into a massive truth about leadership. It's a principle so powerful, it allowed one of history's greatest explorers to lead his team to the very end of the Earth on a mission they never even signed up for. All right, let's get into it. So let me start with a question for you. What do you think is the single biggest mistake a leader can make? I mean, you could probably list a dozen, right? But there's one mistake in particular that trips up so many leaders and turns their brilliant strategies into, well, total dead ends. And here it is. It's this belief that if your vision is just amazing enough, if the plan is airtight, that people will just get on board. It's something you could call the vision trap. This idea that the destination is all that really matters. But you know what? It just doesn't work that way. In fact, relying on the vision alone is not just a bad strategy, it's completely backward. It shows a fundamental misunderstanding of what actually makes people want to follow someone. And this brings us to a core leadership principle that flips that whole idea right on its head. It's called the law of buy-in, and honestly, it's a huge reality check for anyone who's trying to lead a team. Now, the order of events here is absolutely critical, so listen close. A common leader thinks they find a dream and then find people to follow it. But a great leader, the people find them first, and only then do they buy into the dream. The leader is the bridge that gets people to the vision. Without that bridge, the vision is just an island no one can get to. John C. Maxwell just boils it down perfectly here. See, what you're really selling isn't your plan. It's you, your credibility, your character, your competence. The vision, no matter how incredible it is, it only gets a fair hearing after your people have decided that you are someone worth following. And this is the bottom line if you ignore this law. If your team doesn't trust you, if they don't respect you, it really doesn't matter how noble the cause is. They're just going to find another leader who they do believe in to take them on that journey. So let's make this real with one of the most incredible stories of leadership you'll ever hear. Meet the explorer Roald Amundsen. He put together this all-star crew for a historic trip to the North Pole. But after they'd already set sail, he finds out another explorer beat him to it. So what does he do? He secretly makes a radical pivot. They're going to the South Pole instead. He doesn't even tell his crew until they're thousands of miles from home. So what happened? Did they mutiny? Nope. Every single man agreed to follow him into the total unknown. Why on earth would they do that? Because Amundsen hadn't just hired a bunch of guys. He built what he called a little republic. He wasn't a dictator. His whole style was about respect, freedom, and making every single person feel like they were an essential independent pro. He was building trust day in and day out, long before you had to cash it in for that insane pivot. And this trust wasn't just some vague feeling. It was backed up by cold, hard proof that they saw every day. They watched him obsessed over every detail, testing equipment and packing extra food. They knew he was humble enough to go live with the Eskimos to learn real survival skills. He wasn't some reckless gambler. He was the most prepared person on the entire planet, and his actions proved it. And that's the whole point, right? Amundsen's crazy pivot to the South Pole was only possible because his team had already 100% bought into him. They weren't following a map to the North Pole. They were following Roald Amundsen wherever he was going. That trust was his currency. This chart makes the difference so clear. The old school approach tries to sell the destination, and the moment the plan changes, everything falls apart. But the leader-first approach, that sells the captain of the ship. It builds commitment to the person, which means the team is resilient enough to handle any storm or even change the destination completely. General Schwarzkopf just nails it with this quote. Of course, you need a good strategy, but character? That's the foundation everything is built on. Amundsen's strategy was brilliant, for sure, but it was his character, his integrity, his diligence that made it all possible. It's character that builds trust. And that really is the whole story. The crew's decision wasn't some wild leap of faith into a new plan. No, it was a calm, calculated step of trust in a leader who had proven himself over and over again. Their buy-in was absolute because Amundsen had earned it long before he ever had to ask. So how do we take this amazing story and actually use it? How do we become the kind of leader that people truly buy into so we can handle those unexpected pivots that, let's be honest, happen all the time? Well, it really boils down to three things. First, you have to demonstrate rock-solid competence. Be the expert. Prepare relentlessly, like Amundsen, living with the Inuit to truly master survival. Second, you have to build character through integrity. Remember when Amundsen turned his team back after a false start? That showed he cared more about their safety than his ego. That's what builds real trust. And finally, serve your people. Create your own little republic where everyone feels valued. When you put your team first, you get their commitment, not just their compliance. So if you walk away with just one single thing today, let it be this. Your first and most important job as a leader is to earn the trust of your people. You have to sell yourself, your character, your competence, your commitment, long before you ever try to sell them on a new vision. And that brings us to the final question, one for you to think about. The next time you ask your team to follow you, whether it's on some small project or a massive, scary change, ask yourself, have they just bought into the plan, or have they truly, completely bought into you?